So yesterday I was speaking to a startup group, a group of entrepreneurs just getting started on their path with their businesses. And most of them were just one person or a couple partners or maybe a couple employees. And a question that I got from the crowd is, at what point did I feel like I had made it, that I was successful, and what was unexpected about reaching this level of success? And so I had to kind of laugh and think about it for a second. And what I realized is I don't feel successful like all of a sudden. I don't feel like there was ever a milestone or ever a point in time where I was like, now I've made it. Now I'm successful. And as I thought back through my whole business career and even before business career, when I was just in school, I feel like I always measured success against the present. I was always trying to accomplish something in the present. Even in first and second and third grade, it was like, how do I get all of my spelling test questions right? Or how do I get the bonus word that the teacher gave us that was like Mississippi or paleontologist or whatever it was? That to me was success. And so I was measuring success against like, can I do this? What's my current challenge? And then, as I got older, I had my video, like little TV show, a little show that I had. And success was putting out an episode and my friends watching it and seeing it on TV. And they would come up to me and be like, wow, that's so cool. That made me feel successful in that time. And then when I started the video business, it was like getting paid or making, $1,000 in a weekend for doing some big event. And that was successful because I was measuring myself against my peers and not against the 0.001% of high school entrepreneurs that were way further along than me. So I was always looking for something in my world that I could measure against, that I could control. And even as my businesses grew, to my consulting business, it was about what's my rate today? And do I feel good about that? And how do I, in my next proposal that I send out, raise that rate and get a yes? That's going to feel successful. I'm going to have a bigger business. How do I hire my first employee? Because then I've gone from 0 employees to 1, or from 1 person to 2. I just doubled the headcount in my business. That feels super successful. So in building Trainual, of course, I've come across mentors and there's people that I look up to and that are way further down the path than me. But when I see those people, I'm not chasing after them. I'm not comparing myself to them. I am in some way comparing myself to them in terms of what's possible. And so I see these other entrepreneurs, okay, they've built a bigger business. They've figured out marketing. They've got a bigger brand, a bigger following. They know how to do a successful launch or promotion. They got invited to speak at this big event that I wish I could get invited to speak at. There are those gaps all the time. And it's easy to see those gaps. But I think the difference is that if you feel I'm inadequate, I'm not good enough, I've got so far to go to be like that, then you go down a totally different path than if you start to feel like, okay, let me understand what they're doing and what they have that I don't. And those things are now goals for me. And they may be goals that are realistic in the next 5 years or 3 years or 10 years or 2 years, whatever it is. But that's how I do it. I look at the examples of others and then I kind of reverse engineer their success and pick apart what are the things that I want to add to my mix, to my life, to make me feel like that's the next step for me. But it doesn't mean I don't feel successful today, because today I feel successful when I compare myself against to past me. I look at today versus last year and I can see all the different areas that I've grown, and not just professional, but the workouts or the races that I've done or the family trips we've gone on, the time I've been able to take off. I look back and reflect on those things and realize that today's version of me is more successful than yesterday's version of me. And so when I want to add things to my recipe or to my success, I'm thinking, all right, what is today plus 1? What is a way that I can grow a next goal for me that could be inspired by people that are further along? But it doesn't mean that I need that in order to be successful. And so when it comes to success, I think the lesson here is don't chase success. Embrace where you are today, because where you are today is successful in the context of where you've come from. You don't have to feel inadequate because you're chasing after a future version that you think you should be at today. Just recognize that where you're at today is progress, and then figure out what is the next step so that at the next stage you can feel more successful. So that's what I feel like I've done my whole life. And when that person asked me the question, it kind of dawned on me that maybe that's different. I've heard a lot of people say, how do I be successful? It almost insinuates that you're not successful today and you're chasing and you're trying to figure it out. But if you realize you are successful, you've already made a ton of progress, then you just start to think about, how do I build on my success? How do I continue my hitting streak of home runs or great success? And everything you do is not going to be successful, no way. But when you start to think about everything as like an experiment, or how do I get to the next level, it's almost like a video game. You play the level a bunch of times until you finally figure it out, and then you get to that next level. And then you play that level a bunch of times, and then you figure it out. It's not every time that you succeed on your first try. And that's how it is in life too. So again, the lesson here: don't chase success. Don't feel inadequate. Don't measure yourself against others and feel like you're not good enough. Embrace your current success, appreciate others, and then draw from their example on what could be your next step.